What's up, everybody? This video I'm going to tell you about how and why I decided to hike the Pacific Crest Trail this upcoming season for 2023. Alright, look, this isn't another look at me, I'm hiking the PCT video, follow along type thing. This is just me saying, hey, this is a commitment to myself. I've wanted to do this for a long time, and by putting this out there to, as dumb as this sounds, but when I put this out here to the internet, it holds me accountable in some fashion. It gives me motivation to, get through the days that I already know are going to be extremely tough on trail. And it's just an accountability journal for me. And if you all end up following along and enjoying the experience with me, then that's just an added bonus. Okay, let's start with why I ever even thought about doing this. One thing that I noticed is that over the years, what would happen to me is I would say, hey, maybe next year or maybe the year after that. And I just got so busy with life. I was in Iraq when I was in the military for a year, and I almost lost my life over there in a crazy missile attack on a base called Al-Assad. This was in 2020. You probably saw a lot of this when Trump decided to assassinate Soleimani, but I was actually at the base that did the assassination with the drone, and Iran decided to retaliate by sending basically the largest amount of explosives we have ever seen in the Iraqi campaign. I was extremely lucky to survive. I was one of the only people left behind on the base because of my job. This isn't like a, feel sorry for me or whatever. I'm just telling you where my mind was through this sequence of events of me getting to here. And when I came back from that deployment, I realized that really any day, doesn't matter if you're in the desert, in the military, or you're just someone living your everyday life, you really don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow, the next day, etc. And this really, really pushed me to say, okay, you know what? This is it. I got to figure out a way to do this trail because it's the one thing you want to do before you leave this planet, and you better figure out how to do it sooner rather than later. Okay, I know that was kind of a rant, but the whole point of that being, that's what motivated me to get my ass on the trail. And two, it kind of taught me the perspective of do what you can today because you don't know what tomorrow brings. Cheesy as that is, I know. Fast forward 2021, 2022. I'm kind of working, doing the same old thing in the corporate grind. I work in software, and I was just telling myself, I'm not satisfied in what I do. It wasn't that I hated my job, it's just that I knew that, especially after this season, with the time I took off to do the Colorado Trail and the Uinta Highline Trail and all of my other trips, I knew that this is something I wanted to actually do from Mexico to Canada. I think what a lot of people underestimate, including myself, is that when you get out on trail, it's just going to be a magical adventure the whole time and it's never going to have its tough days. I wanted to hike at least 700 miles this season because I wanted to feel what it was like to be on a long distance trail, if I was in love with the idea of doing it or if I was actually in love with doing it. And what I found is I actually love doing it. It was the scariest thing for me to test that because I think my greatest fear was that I was going to end up hating it and I was going to burn myself out, and then that was going to lead me to essentially dropping one of the biggest goals I have in my life. This was a pretty terrifying thought because honestly, if I found out, wow, you don't want to do this long distance trail, that would have been kind of a shock to the system because that would have been a goal that I've had for more than 6 years now, and it would have just been kind of defeating to know that, it wasn't real. It wasn't what you actually wanted. You were just in love with the thought of it. But I'm glad that didn't end up being the case. I'm really glad I got on trail as much as I could this season, and I learned a lot. I feel very prepared. I might do some videos on how I'm gonna train for the trail, and I feel mentally ready, which I think is the most important part. I think physically it comes, and obviously, you know, you can't prevent injuries and things like that, but physically I feel ready. Mentally, I think that you have to really put yourself there and know what's it gonna be like, because like I said, it's not just gonna always be a fun time. That's just part of it. I think another reason why I want to hike the PCT is because I know that it's going to be one of the hardest things I've ever done, and I think that every single time I've done something that's been really hard in my life, I've seen a lot of personal growth, and I, you know, gained more from that experience than I could imagine. So this being one of the hardest things that I know I'm going to have ever tried physically and mentally, I think it's going to be a huge thing for my life. And lame and as cheesy as that sounds, that is 100% the truth. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm attracted to this thing, is I know it will be such a challenge. Okay, so all in all, I think I've done enough rambling. I think you all get the point of why I want to hike this trail and what it means to me. And I don't mean to make this a super selfish video. I wanted to at least share my thoughts on, you know, why I wanted to hike this trail in the first place, and, you know, just my reasoning behind it in general. Oh, and I know I've kind of talked about why I wanted to hike this, but how I actually plan on hiking it. Jackie is going to follow me, hopefully, fingers crossed, she doesn't get burnt out, but she's gonna follow me in the van along the trail and kind of help me with resupplies, and I'm gonna try and do it as quickly as possible. With her following me in the van, I'll be able to resupply really quickly, take zeros as needed, but just keep pressing on and really focus on completing the trail. So that's how I kind of plan on making it happen and increasing my chances of, you know, just having a successful thru hike. So if you do want to see me walk for 2,600 miles, go ahead and subscribe, and I will be announcing on November 9th when I get my permit officially. And I also have a backup plan, an even crazier backup plan if I don't get my permit. So I will be doing something long distance. I will be quitting my job. It's time for me to take that leap of faith. So yeah, appreciate you all watching. Thanks for listening to me talk about you know, my life and why I'm doing this, and I will see you all soon.